a large language model. This is my hyperparameter setting. Then I'm going to also configure my supervised fine tuning. So the supervised fine tuning, I use this library, which is SFT trainer. I split my data set to train validation. Then I will say the batch size, the learning rate, okay, everything inside here. Okay, then I will load my pre-trained model. I will load my pre-trained model. So my pre-trained model is my JEMMA. I will do the fine-tuning. After I fine-tune my model, okay, I need to combine my fine-tune weight to my pre-trained weight. So I need to merge them back together. Then I save my model, the merge model, and then I can push my model into Hugging Face. Okay, so in Hugging Face, okay, I can actually push the model that I fine-tuned just now and push into Hugging Face. So now I have a fine-tuned model where I fine-tune the JEMMA2B parameter, a French to English model. So this is my fine-tuned model. Okay, and later I can call in the code this fine-tune model and do inference, do translation. Okay, so now I will call my fine-tune model, okay, and then you can see this is able to do some sort of translation. The translation is not so accurate, but at least now you can show that after I fine-tune with this data set, it's able to do fine-tune for me. Okay, let me show you the code. Okay, so this is the, okay, before that, if you want to go back and try this code, it's available in my slide just now. This one, demo. This fine-tune JEMMA-1. Again, this one, push it up, sorry. Oops, skinned up. But if you have my slide, then you can go back and try. So basically, the whole Google Colab is there. You can actually go back and try. Okay, so let me show you the code. Okay, so we said that we're going to use the JEMMA2B. Okay, so in JEMMA, the original JEMMA, not JEMMA2, the original JEMMA, they have two versions, JEMMA2B and JEMMA7B. So because I'm using a free Google Colab, I just use JEMMA2B. 7B, you actually require more computation power. You have to use an A100 GPU. Okay, so I load out all the libraries. I set up the quantization just now. Then I log into my Hugging Face. So you go to Hugging Face. You go to setting. You should able to create access token. So access token here, make sure you create right permission. So access token allow you to access to the model and access to the data set just now. Okay, so you log into your Hugging Face. Then I'm going to call the JEMMA2B. Okay, I load the model from Hugging Face. So after I load the model, I'm going to test my prompt just now. fine-tuning. You can actually refine your model into a very specialized tools, which is capable to handle more specific topics or domain, and able to allow you to provide you more accurate results. Okay, so thank you very much. Do you have any questions? Too much information. Need to fine tune. Too much information. So yeah, if you have my slide, go back. I have my resources here. So these are some of the papers that I recommended you to read. What is LoRa? What is performance efficient fine tuning? Then a beginner guide to fine tune JEMA. What is the idea behind LoRa? These are very good. If you cannot understand, you can actually go there and read all these things. Any other questions? So don't know what to ask also. Okay, so if you are shy, whatever, you can connect with me in LinkedIn. You can ask me in LinkedIn. So that's all. Thank you very much.
Okay, so now we'll go for a short break. I think we come back in 10 minutes. So you can go to the bathroom if you need to and go get some water if you want to.
Yeah, since we had run over from the previous sessions, so we better start on time. So you all can leave on time also, hopefully. Yeah, I hope you had your tea or coffee or just a short break just now. Yeah, now we are back with another session about AI. So, but since I am a Flutter developer, so I will be talking more about how to use generative AI tools, like as a Flutter developer, or also in general as a software developer, you can apply the same tips as well. Yeah, let's start. Just a brief introduction about myself. I'm Yongxuan, and I'm a software engineer currently working in Commerce Solutions. So just my background is I started as a Python developer. So I started quite early on into the journey, even though now I'm not into that journey anymore. Now, then after that, I continue on to become. So it's more like a front end. So I work with JavaScript, TypeScript, and also React. And then since 2020, then I started using Flutter. I grew up with Flutter because of how easy it is to use to build multi-platform applications. So you just have to code once, and it will run in so many different platforms. Yeah, and I've been speaking at various events. Some of you might have seen me before in other Google events, especially. I talk mainly about Flutter, but in the early days, I also talk about TypeScript, JavaScript a lot. And I'm also a Google developer expert in Dart and Flutter. And yeah, my personal experience of using AI tools is not it's not a lot. So I've only started around somewhere last year until now. So it's an experience that is still growing. So this is my personal website, and it's also where I upload the slides for all my talks. So you can scan this barcode or just type in yxuan.com into the URL, and you would get it already. Yeah, don't worry, I will also show this at the end of the presentation, so you can catch it later. Yeah, just want to have a show of hands. How many of you use Flutter? Okay, a few. I think about 10% probably. Yeah, so I just want to give a quick introduction of what is Flutter so you know what I'm talking about. Okay, Flutter itself is a library. So it's a UI kit. It allows you to build and test and deploy to multiple platforms. So you can deploy it to mobile, you can deploy to web, you can deploy to desktop. So yeah, all from a single code base. So you don't have to say, okay, you have to run native code for Android or native code for iOS. Sometimes you need a little bit, but it's not much. Yeah, so this is the beauty of using Flutter. And Flutter is, so you have to know how to write in Dart. Dart is another programming language that is widely used in Google. And yeah, but Dart itself is very similar to languages like probably, can I say Java? Yeah, it's more object-oriented. And the paradigm, so how you write a Flutter app is more like, it's very similar to how you write in React. Because in React, you also have a hierarchy of widgets. So in Flutter, it's the same. You also compose, you have a widget, and then you have multiple child widgets inside. Yeah, just to give you an idea. And so I believe the previous speakers have all covered about what is generative AI, what is LLM. So you all must already have a pretty good idea. But I just want to give a quick introduction, what it means for developers. Do we actually use them? Do we need them? And how do we use? So let's ask Gemini, let's ask AI to answer this question. So I just put in this question into Gemini. What is generative AI in very simple words? And in the context for software developers, and summarize it. So this is what it answers. I think I briefly shorten it a bit, but yeah, this is basically what it tells you. It says you can use it for code generation, and you can use it to generate realistic test data, and you can also use that for UI and layouts. Yes. So you have also seen different models that Gemini provide. You have the previous generation, which is a 1.0. So you have seen some of the demos that are actually generated with 1.0 Pro. And recently it has been upgraded, so now we have the 1.5 Flash and also 1.5 Pro. So in my demo later, I think I will mostly focus on 1.5 Pro because that's the most intelligent model. And I would say coding tasks is one of the more difficult tasks for AI because it's very hard for them to connect so many ideas, and then you also need to have some critical thinking, some logical thinking to combine them together. Yeah, just a quick introduction. Okay, Gemini Flash, when do you use them? You use them when you want fast efficiency. So, and it also has the multimodal reasoning. So you can use that if you want to upload images, you want to ask them to, let's say, translate something that's in the image, you can do that. And how about the Pro? So this one is just a short animation to show you the number of tokens compared to other models, including our competitors. So for Gemini 1.5 Pro, you have the access to up to 2 million tokens. And if it's difficult to visualize, it's about 2 hours of video or 22 hours of audio or 10,000 lines of code. So you can include a lot of things in your conversation, and also you can, have a very long conversation, and you will still remember what you have said previously. Okay, then the next question is, what should AI generate for us? We already know that AI can generate a lot of stuff. Like, you even seen demos online. They can even generate a whole website for you, a complete app. Like you heard about Devin, right? And you can even generate just a single screen or maybe a small function. Yeah, but to answer this question, let's first understand where does LLM get their information. So we already know that large language models, they are trained on real-world data, and they are provided by humans. So they first have to be hand-labeled by human. And then after this is fed into the training. And when it outputs, it will generate the text based on likelihood. So some statistics here, I put an asterisk because these are not official. They are not official data. It's something I found online. So you can safely say that most of the training data is in English because that's all of the information online, most of them are in English. And for the very huge models, like 1.5 Pro is probably trained with trillion of parameters. So it has a lot of information in it. But I can say that a lot of people are starting to abuse the use of these models. Like it can generate a lot of stuff, and those stuff can look very correct. So they were like, okay, let's just ask these models to output some text, and then I can put it to my LinkedIn, right? So if you search, like if a sentence contains as an AI language model from linkedin.com, then you see a bunch of posts like this. Yeah, looks like there are a lot of people who never really check, or maybe this is part of their automated pipeline. They just push stuff to the web. Yeah, and this is a Twitter account that I found. So they consolidated a lot of this kind of instances where people just generate AI responses or AI comments, and then they just push it up. So yeah. And this happens in a lot of use cases, especially in marketing, where you just need some text and images, right? So why I show you this is because maybe in the near future, or maybe it has already started now, you have to doubt, okay, are these LLM, would they be trained on real-world data that is provided by human? Or is it like they just take the generated data, and then since it is published to the web, so those generated data would also be used to train? Yeah, so this is to serve as a warning to everyone that you should not trust AI blindly. And maybe in the future, like when you work with a junior developer or an intern, and then they show you a piece of code, and then they say, yeah, this one I submit as a PR. And then when you ask them, okay, how do you come up with this? Like, oh, I don't know also, because I just copy from GPT, or I copy from Gemini. So yeah, let's not go into that direction in the future. And what we really need to make sure is we want to know what we are doing, right? So you are, as a responsible developer, you should still understand the piece of code that you put in to your code base and not just blindly copy and paste. Yeah. So as a disclaimer, I encourage everyone to only accept the codes that you understand, and always doubt the answers that you receive from Gemini or ChatGPT or any other LLM. Okay, but it's not a complete bad thing that LLMs now are very powerful, because there are things that AI are really good at and we are not so good at. So the examples are extraction and discovery. So you saw a lot of use cases, like people would take a long article, and then they would ask the LLM to extract, okay, can you extract the key points? Maybe you put into 5 bullet points for me. That it can do well. Or you can also ask it to give you ideas from different domains, because LLM is generally good at a lot of things, and that includes things that we are not familiar with. So these they are good at. And maybe you can also use it to do role playing. And you can ask it to provide different perspectives that you might not have thought of. And yeah, I talk about organizing and synthesizing data. And also, lastly, I think this one is a very important point. It works well with fuzzy inputs. So like, even when we are coding, like in our mind, we would have some sort of what do you call that, pseudocode. So we have pseudocode in mind, but then we might not know the exact syntax to write it. We can put the pseudocode, or maybe just in natural languages, and then LLM can generate some useful code for us. So these they are very good at. What they are not good at is, these are the things that we should rely on ourselves or human to do it. So for example, if you want to check claims against reality, and yeah, because now LLMs, they still hallucinate a lot, so you already need to be careful and check the sources of each of the claim. And yeah, they are also not very good at long-term memory yet, even though now we have the 2 million context window, but it still suffers a problem called needle in a haystack. So if let's say you have a very long article, and then let's say you are only asking something that is hidden, like maybe in the middle of the article. It might be difficult for it to answer it because then you have so many things that distract it. Or maybe you ask in a long conversation, and then you ask until it's near the end, and then it forget the first half of your conversation. That also happen quite often. So you have to be aware of that. And also, of course, the social context, they don't understand. They are not human. They don't understand our relationship with other people. And yeah, they don't have emotions. So though you can ask them to role play, to act as a certain character, to show a certain emotion, but actually they don't have that. It's just something that you tell it to do, and then it will do for you. Okay, now we know what AI is good at, what AI is not good at. Back to our question, what could AI do for us then as a developer? Okay, first, as an autocomplete agent, I believe this is a use case that is already widely used by a lot of developers, including myself. I started using GitHub Copilot quite a long time ago, and now in Google we also have a similar solution. It's called Gemini Code Assist, and this one you can install it as an extension in many of your favorite IDEs, including VS Code, and in Android Studio they also have one of their own. Yeah, so by allowing it to help us autocomplete some boilerplate codes that we just don't bother to type it out, yeah, it can save us a lot of time. Yeah, how about second? Second is to help us with small scope but tedious tasks. For example, the dark fake data generator that Janice showed in the morning, that was so it's a VS Code extension that, let's say you have a class definition in Dart, and then you want to generate some mock data. But you want the mock data to also sound realistic. Like you don't want it to be just A, B, and C. You want it to be named like John Doe, Jane Doe. So, and you can do that right from VS Code. If you're wondering what is the prompt that I use, this is the prompt. And you see that, okay, the first part is to define the goal. So the goal is to generate a fake data object based on the class, and how the data object should be. So it should be a Dart object that matches the class properties. And I want each value to be realistic and semantically correct. So, and then I give examples, right? So this is the example prompt, the input. And then this is an example output that I'm expecting from them. So I find this kind of structure in the prompt is very effective. And furthermore, you can explain why the example is good. So you can understand why this example should be like that, or because it utilizes all the properties in the original prompt. Okay, and you can go on and mention what is your expected output. Here you say, okay, it can be multiple. It doesn't have to be one. You can generate multiple data based on the same class. So I give an example of multiple. So I have the single one. I also have an example for multiple data objects. Yes, I also add the explanation here so that AI can understand what I want. Okay, then the second example is, let's say you can use it to write functions. Ideally, small pieces of functions like regex. Like who likes to write regex anyway? Like maybe some people I know they do enjoy that, but I don't. So I prefer to just write down like what is the requirement in natural English. So you see here, this is completely in English. And of course, you always start by giving a persona. So this persona, I don't know how LLMs work, but this template usually works well. So you start with giving a persona so that you scope down, okay, you are now playing a role as the expert regex string creator. And you know how regex works and the goal. So the second part is the goal. You want to convert the natural language queries and in the form of regex. After that, you want to provide explanation in detail and demonstrate its use in the Dart code. So yeah, you can easily replace this with any other language and it will still work. And you want to list down your requirements very clearly. Yeah, so you want your string to have 2 to 63 characters. And it should be alphanumeric and it can contain dash also. Must start as well as end with alphanumeric only. So I guess this one, if you pass it to any developers, they would understand what you want to do, right? So AI should also understand. Let's see how is the result. Yeah, so I put into the Gemini 1.5 Pro model. Oh yeah, by the way, if you want to use this for free, you can just go to aistudio.google.com. You can select different models to play with. So Gemini 1.5 Pro is one of it. And for now, at least you can use it for free. Yeah, so the solution that it gives, okay, first it gives you the self, and then it gives you the explanation so you can check if it's correct or if it's bullshitting. And then, okay, the combined effect. All right, and it goes on to give you examples. So what is the example of the valid strings, the invalid strings, and I just put on the right here so you can compare what is the original user requirement. Okay, I want 2 to 63 characters. So these are all valid, yes. And the string should be alphanumeric and can contain hash also. So far here also correct. The string must start as well as end with alphanumeric only. Yeah, I think here it always start or end with character or number. Yeah, and then invalid string. It gives a short explanation of why it is invalid. Okay, first one, because it starts with a hyphen. The last one ends with a hyphen. 2 consecutive hyphen, okay. Only one character cannot because we want 2 to 63. This is longer than 63 characters, which is too long. Can you spot anything that is wrong? Anyone? Noah? I review the answer then. This one. It's like if you count it properly, it is still less than 63. But then it makes you think that it's longer than 63. But if you really count the number of characters, it's still less. So it managed to trick some of you. So yeah, and this is the code that is provided. So I just paste it into VS Code and run it. And of course, this one is right. So I think here there is 64 characters probably. Yeah, this is how long it looks when it's supposed to be longer than 63. And other than that, I find that it's correct. So the regex itself is correct. Okay, so now we go to the third point, which is to provide a starting point. So a starting point means like, okay, now you are given a task, and then you're like, okay, do I have to start everything from scratch? No, you can actually ask LLM to help you. Right, so what I'm gonna ask Gemini to help me is to build a widget. And again, yeah, it's via the Google AI Studio with the 1.5 Pro model. Okay, so I just took this from Behance UI design.